Hey, what's going on, guys? GFXLab, and this is another episode of Minecraft, and I wanted to talk to you guys today about ghosts. I believe that ghosts are real. Not in the sense of the literal, not like the literal dictionary where it's like, I don't know, I don't even know if there is a dictionary. I guess, well, there has to be one for ghosts. But, I think that the way that I understand ghosts, or the way that I would piece together the puzzle behind ghosts, is that ghosts are the product of untapped potential within our abilities to create with our minds, with our projections, and with the ways that with the energy we exude in life. So I think that, like, I do think that ghosts exist based on like memories and based on repetition of somebody being in a certain area. To me, it reminds me kind of like a negative image. You know how sometimes you have a negative image when you stare at something really bright for a really long time, and then you get a negative image, and that negative image, they even show ghosts as negative images sometimes, but a negative image is like the afterthought or the after image of a large amount of light that has affected your eyes for a while. Your eyes keep that energy there, that image, that ghost image there. And I think the same thing happens with a person's memory, with a person's energy, with a person's feeling, personality, with their ego in that certain area. And I believe that I do believe that places and things are alive. I do believe that walls and just tables and computers and stuff that we think that are static to us are alive, very alive. I believe that they live, those things like that, like things that seem solid to us, they just live on a different plane. They live in a different frequency than we do. I believe that because they live in a different frequency, we would never understand, or we would never be able to detect. We wouldn't have the ability to live on, or to think in that frequency, or be on that frequency to see any sort of action. But everything in the world is made of energy. Everything in the world is made of molecules and atoms. And for me, ghosts are remnants of energy that used to be there. And I do believe that some people can see ghosts, especially if those people had some sort of connection, or even people that are around could bring on ghosts into an area, just because it's so strong in their mind. That after image is so strong that it actually comes out and as some sort of untapped energy. I do believe that there are a lot of things that that a human can do that we don't know yet. I think that we can project stuff in our minds. I mean, when you think about like how evolution works, if a fish could build, maybe if a fish could build a tank, a fish out in nature. Imagine a colony of fish that all of a sudden became smart and they found a reason to want to go on land. How would they go on land? Probably be a long time before they figured this out. But they would eventually come up with aquariums that where they can breathe. I mean, they can make these suits out of water, and eventually surface, and then they could search out, like the way that we adjust our surroundings, and we make like these suits that we can go into space with. Well, to me, I think that stuff like Twitter and Facebook and the internet are ways of connecting, are ways that we connect socially in a way that is almost on a psychic level. And things like Google, things like Google Analytics. I don't know how many of you guys have ever studied SEO or search engine optimization, but basically Google knows everything that you're going to do in your life before you do it. It's almost at that point. Like, it's so far ahead of you. It knows It knows your attributes in life. It knows what you're going to want to look at. That's why whenever you're searching on the web, a lot of times the ads that you guys see sometimes they're just totally not for you. Sometimes you don't know what they're for, but that's because they haven't figured everything out. But I believe that systems will get in place, either by Google or whatever comes out next, where the application's literally going to know what you're going to do in 10 years, and it's going to know it exactly. It's going to figure out your entire life. It's going to say it can already kind of do that. I mean, everyone has to buy Pampers. People have to go to high school, so there's going to be school. There's a system there. So it's not very hard. A lot of people live very simple lives, so it's not that hard to figure out, what a person is interested in just based on their age and what, society tells them that they should be into. It's not like 100% dead on, but it's pretty close. And I think that, in the future, things will get even more like that, and those tools help us to become psychic, pretty much. In the future, I believe that our bodies are going to get so used to this energy of this social energy that we are creating now, like Twitter and stuff like that, Facebook and all those things. Those things are very new, so they're in their infant stages of technology. They're not even in 10 years. Imagine Twitter. What is it going to be? It's going to be crazy. It's going to be something else. We can't even tell what it's going to be. So after all that development, in like 100 years, the Twitter in 100 years is going to be totally different. Who knows what that'll be? There'll be probably a million things that'll come by, and eventually our bodies are going to be so used to this way of talking to each other. It's basically the same way, fish climbed out of water enough because they needed a supply of food, so they were close enough to finally wiggle their way out of the water, and then eventually they started to grow legs. And the evolution, I know evolution is really slow, but that doesn't mean that it's going to hold us back, because we are intelligent, and eventually we're going to become psychic. We're going to have psychic powers. We're going to have all these, ways of flying. Probably not flying, but, who knows? We could evolve anyway, and who knows what'll happen. And I was talking to one of my friends the other day, who's another designer, and I was telling him, why do we still use buttons? Imagine if we didn't need buttons in this world, because buttons, I don't even remember the scientific word for it, but basically buttons are an interface tool that was created out of real life tools that we already have. So the way we were going to interact with computers and not have to learn how to code and all that, we created buttons. And those are, a button is the evolution of pointing. The original button in life is pointing. So you point at something, and that eventually evolved into pressing a button and saying that that's what you want to do. That is how you're going to express what you want to do within an application. Is you press a button, and you're basically pointing and you're clicking, right? You point, that's the main action, and then you press down to make your call to action, make the call to action of what you're intending to do with that application. That's what a button is. But like I said, I think there's a whole bunch of untapped potential within people, and I think that eventually we're gonna figure out how to be psychic. That'll happen who knows how many years from now, if humans even survive that long enough to evolve to that point. And I'm sure some societies out there in alien societies pretty much have this already. There has to be, imagine there has to be just there has to be a lot of societies out there that are pretty much peering down on us. I mean, how can that not be? Maybe because I knew, like, I was watching this not a documentary, but I think it was like a speech by Michio Kaku, and he was talking about how it takes, he was trying to explain like how time travel works, and he was explaining that it would take like 10,000 for 5 years of traveling at the light of speed. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was equivalent to like 10. It was like the equivalent to 10,000 years or something in real time. But since you're traveling at the light of speed, time is working differently for you being on that ship. So it's just interesting because, if that's the case, then probably, usually human beings don't take 10 5-day trips. They take, they'll go on a trip for like a year or something. But aside from that, like, think about how these people who lived a long time ago, who lived in these, who basically established not our universe, but who established human beings, or even if that's the case, or if there was ever like people or like beings that were here, what did they do? What did they do with us? Did they leave? And then did they leave a certain group of people here as like prisoners? I don't know. How did the the original humans, how did they like, were there humans that were on Earth before that? Were there humans that were before the time that we know of, even way before when like Earth was just starting out? How many times have humans evolved to the point where computers existed? How many times have they become that advanced in this world, in this lifetime? Who knows? It seems like, to me, I would imagine that there has to be planets out there who have gone through all the things that we've gone through, all the technology and all the, if they live by the same rules, which I imagine couldn't be too far off. But to me, ghosts are, going back to the original point, like, so with that all said, with the, the whole aliens thing and unlocking human potential, there has to be, people out there who have abilities that they think everyone else has, that everybody doesn't have. And I was thinking about my last Minecraft, when I was telling you guys about, the little psychic thing that I have with my, when I had with my little brother when we were kids. And, it was kind of surprising that some people thought that was cool or weird or whatever. But to me, it was, it was just every day. That's how I knew the world. And I even have, when I was in high school, when I was in middle school, I used to have deja vu like every day, almost every day, and I got used to it. I thought it was just something normal. I didn't even know what to call it. That's how normal it was to me, was, to have deja vu. I had deja vu every day, and I never thought it was anything weird. I didn't know what it was until later on in life, when someone said, "Oh, that was deja vu," and I was like, "Oh, what is that?" And then he explained it to me, and then I was like, "Oh, okay." I knew what it was, and he knew what it was. But I think that people have a lot of untapped potential, and I think that could explain a lot of these things in life, like ghosts and Bigfoot and all this. Actually, Bigfoot's different. I think Bigfoot is literally like a being that lives on a different dimension than we do, and that's why we can't ever catch him or or only a few people have ever seen him, is because he can travel between dimensions and or just between different dimensions than we have the ability to observe. And I think that eventually we're going to find more creatures like that. We're going to find creatures that we didn't know were there. Maybe there are creatures sitting right in front of you and you can't see them, but they're just observing you because they're on some like level of, they're on some some crazy level of existence that we can't even see them. And I was watching this anime called Bleach, and they talk about something similar to this, where if you are so like in Dragon Ball Z, there's power levels. If you're on a power level that is just on a whole nother level, you can't even feel the other person's power level. It's just that high. It just doesn't exist for you until you get to that level. You'll never know how powerful that person is. So I think there are beings like that. Like they're on a higher dimension than we are. Kind of like how we are on a different plane other than fish. Like fish have like they're on a dimension that that they can only see like almost in 2D. It's just they literally only see straight ahead and around them, but they don't really see in 3D. They don't know about up and down. They don't know about the Z axis. They only know about the Y and the X axis. But at the moment you pull a fish straight out of water, they don't know what to do. They don't even know what that is. And thinking about that, like we are just looking, same thing with ants. Like we look down on ants and we observe ants, and then we make our judgments or whatever about ants. Some little kids like go out and kill ants and do weird things, and then later on become serial killers or whatever. but no, I think that there are beings out there that live on different things, and maybe those are what ghosts are. Who knows? Maybe a ghost is literally a somebody who is dead and just doesn't want to leave, or just has something that they still want to do on this planet or in this existence. They'll always be here. There's no such thing as dying. I mean, there is such thing as dying, but there's no such thing as not existing. There's not existing in your mind as a human being with with an ego, but there's no such thing as not existing because you died. You just change your existence. You just change into a different. You just change, your body changes and your form changes. You're still here. It's just you become something else. You become part of the earth. You become part of the planet. It's just different. And there's nothing to worry about. There's absolutely nothing to worry about when you die. It's a natural part of life. It's actually a really awesome part of life for a lot of people, because they finally get to rest. And I think that like a lot of people are afraid of death, so when they don't know about something, they get really afraid of it, and they start making up things. Like they start making death as something that is scary, like something that is going to attack them, or some like taboo. They make it something that is really like a taboo subject, and they don't know how to deal with it, so they end up their mind wanders, and their mind turns into it into like some sort of ghost figure or something. So I think that is what a ghost is, really, is some people who are just fearful and making up, their mind is trying to, out of fear, creates a solution for what they're seeing. And that solution is always going to be fear, because they don't know what it is, so they're scared. And they're always going to be scared about it. scared of what they don't know, instead of just letting it be and instead of just staying in the, staying present and not letting their mind figure things out for itself, and not just accepting the moment for what it is, or the thing for what it is. They want to create some sort of fiction in their mind, and then they end up being fearful and never figuring out what it actually is. So I do think that ghosts are a very misunderstood thing. I don't have an answer for what ghosts are. Maybe in the future we will figure out what a ghost actually is. But for now, I think it's just a creation in our mind that is created out of fear and anxiety. So this little cathedral is coming out pretty sweet. I think that should be high enough for a podium. It's nice to let off, it's nice to come home and let steam off and just talk to you guys. So I love playing Minecraft and talking and thinking about things. It's like my favorite thing in in video games, is being able, well, at least in Minecraft, is being able to create a world, and what makes it even better is talking to you guys about some of my ideas. Sometimes I will do some live streams. I think that'll be pretty sweet. I still have to figure out how I'm going to do it. My computer right now can't really run live stream stuff, but when that happens, I will let you guys know, and I will and then I'll be able to answer your questions live, which would be even more. Maybe I'll do it so I'll open up for questions later. Like, I'll do the live stream, and then I'll talk to you guys about what I want to talk about, and then towards the end of the live stream, I'll open up for questions so you guys can pick my brain if you want to. I think that'll be pretty cool. Whenever I do live streams though, and I ask people for questions, they always come up with the weirdest stuff, like and I guess that that's the internet, so it's all good. I think I don't know how I want to make this podium just yet, but I came up with I think this is a pretty sweet setup. Maybe I could do some nice, like some mirrors in between there, but I kind of like that feeling it gives. I would kind of like some pillars though, like pillars that go from here all the way up. I think that'll give it an added depth. As far as like ghost encounters and stuff like that, I can go into that and tell you guys about maybe some weird stuff that has happened to me in the past. I really don't like to repeat it because I was a kid, and I'd like to forget about all that stuff and come up with some new stories that to me would be more interesting, because there's a lot more interesting things that have happened to me, and stuff that isn't actually like weird, or that isn't actually some sort of, I don't even know how to explain it, like supernatural thing. I actually don't. I think that to me, supernatural things aren't even that interesting. What I find interesting is real life stuff, like when you think about the universe and how the universe was created. To me, that is interesting. When you go out and you see how the universe came to be, like that to me is way more interesting than ghost stories and stuff like that, because I love listening to documentaries where they talk about space, and they talk about things that happened a long time ago, like the natural history stuff. I love listening to that stuff. That stuff to me is cool. Listening to ghost stories and people talk about religious stuff and like scary movies, those things are cool. They have their place, and I do enjoy them from time to time. but I don't think they're as cool as like actual science. And I don't find them as interesting as like, you know, making sense of my world, because to me there's two types of people. There are types of people who create stuff, and those types of people usually are like me, and they like to learn more about, you know, the world around them, and then they create stuff for people who don't care about what's happening about in the world around them. You know, a lot of people who just sit around all day smoking pot and playing video games and you know, those types of people are different. They like to just, you know, they like to have their life a little simpler. They don't really like to think too much, and they you know, generally those people are like they're just wanting to enjoy themselves, and that's cool too. Without those people, you know, a lot of the times the people who do create stuff, without people who are, you know, supporting them, there's no way that they could do what they do. So there's a place for everybody out there. You just have to figure out, you know, what type of person you are, and, you know, enjoy yourself. I think that sometimes people are, you know, obviously people are going to be quick to judge, but shouldn't worry about it too much. The people who judge usually are people who can't figure out who they are or what they want to do, and all they want to do is sit around all day and be angry about, you know, to people who are enjoying their lives, and they are, you know, having fun. So I wouldn't worry too much about them. Anyway, yeah, that looks way better. That looks cool. That's pretty sweet. I don't know why I always try and think of, you know, of ways I can improve. Like, I try and plan this out, but I should just keep on going, not even thinking, and just keep making this place cooler and cooler. Anyways, I think this has been one of my better Minecraft episodes. If you guys enjoyed this Minecraft, let me know, and with leaving a like and a favorite. And if you guys got to this far, let's see, if you guys got to this far, write red carpet in the comments. And I appreciate you guys for listening, even though, like, a lot of times my thoughts are unstructured and they're just all over the place. I never know what I'm gonna say. Actually, whenever I start these, I have no clue what I'm going to talk about. I just start talking, and I think there's some value to that. But anyways, I'll work some more on this podium next time we talk. I hope you guys have an epic day or an epic night, wherever you guys are. Peace out.